Cas Coovadia, Banking Association of South Africa, Managing Director. Pravin Gordhan coming to banks and saying to your members, Cas Coovadia, we need help with state-owned enterprises, please. What kind of help exactly is he looking for?
How are you? How are you doing, Bruce?
Very good, Cas. Sorry, you're in a noisy spot. What sort of help is Pravin Gordhan looking for?
Okay, look, we don't have any detail at the moment. We met last week Tuesday with the ministers, with Pravin and Minister Nhlantla and his deputy and their teams. And the whole idea is to say, look, state-owned enterprises are by and large in some sort of problems. We've come out of 10 years of lack of governance. That's also had a significant impact on state-owned enterprises. Pravin Gordhan and Nhlantla were appointed in February. In the last 4 months, they've changed the boards of Eskom, of Transnet. They've changed some people of SAA. Eskom has a credible CEO now. So from a governance and some point of view, there's been good progress. Progress is starting from an executive management point of view, but they now need help to ensure that while all of this is happening, management gets into place, look at structuring of these organizations. We can't just let them collapse. So they need help. There are some state-owned enterprises that need some injection in the short to medium term. There are others we need to look at in the medium to long term. The purpose of the meeting was to put all of this on the table. We've put a couple of teams together of good technical people to say, okay, which are the institutions that need help in the short term? How do we then also have a discussion on the structuring of those and other institutions in the medium to long term? What sort of options can we put on the table as a financial sector on funding? What sort of options can government put on the table to underwrite some of that funding? And essentially, we try to collaborate to make this happen. And so we had the meeting last week, Tuesday. I had a first meeting of a group on Friday. We're doing some work this week, next week, and then we'll come out with some options. So a bit firmly on detail at the moment because it's early days in this interaction. But that's where we are.
But here's the problem. I mean, like it or not, South Africa is proving increasingly risky for too many investors. We've seen foreign holdings of South African bonds, the people who are prepared to lend us money through the bond market, drop to its lowest levels in more than a year, down from 43% of all SA debt was with foreigners. It's now down by 10% to below 39%. And, I mean, we've got NHI, the mining charter. They're less progressive than investors may have hoped for. This decline in confidence generally towards emerging markets. And it just looks like government is getting increasingly desperate to get help from the financial sector. And it's great that it's looking for it. But already our pensions are funding things like Eskom. Do our bank deposits have to do the same now too?
No, and we were absolutely clear, Bruce. I mean, we need to put options on the table that will not put depositors' money at risk, that will not bring systemic risks into the financial sector, because then we just keep shooting ourselves in the feet. But having said that, we all accept, both the financial sector and government, that we're working in abnormal situations. I think we have a political leadership now, both in the two ministers and in the president, that we believe have national interest at heart. We believe are absolutely clear about addressing the lack of governance that has happened in the last few years. And we believe that we need to actually do what we can to assist, because this is the one chance we have now. I think that if we can't get it right now, then this country is in serious trouble. And I think what we're saying as a financial sector is that we accept the bona fides of the leadership that currently. In the meeting we had on Friday, we had some very frank discussions, including from the government side. And we need to put our shoulders to the wheel and try to make this happen, because there just isn't any other choice at the moment. But we need to do it in a way that begins to build confidence in a way that continues to send out messages of confidence to the rating agencies and investors that we want to do this in a responsible way. We want to do this in a way that they would look upon favorably. And so we're going to put our heads together, think laterally, and come out with some options.
Well, I suppose one of the upsides to this is, and anybody who's ever owed a bank money knows that they make the rules. And so if our banks do get involved with state-owned enterprises, they can start almost dictating the terms of the loans and can then be the bad guys in terms of the rationalization of some of these state-owned enterprises and actually force the hand of the bureaucrats in making some tough calls, which to date have been quite hard to make.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can bring some discipline into this process and into the discussion. A discipline that I think is necessary and that I think the pragmatic thinkers in government would also accept needs to be brought to the table. And I think that we can also, there's good expertise and capacity sitting in the financial sector that can think a bit laterally, think out of the box, think in a situation of abnormality, which is what we are in, and put some options on the table, and let's see where we get to.
Cas Coovadia, thanks for chatting this evening. Banking Association of South Africa Managing Director.